This I would say this is kind of one of the reasons, like when I think about me and my friends, where we've all been through so many things in life, I would say this is one of the reasons why you shouldn't be making life too easy for children. Like that's from everything I just saw. To be able to handle this properly, I would say don't make life too easy or comfortable for kids. And I think that's something that we're doing a lot right now is we're like, "Oh, the kids are sensitive. Oh, let's make sure they don't get hurt. Let's have a participation trophy for every kid because everyone should win." And I would say no. I would say kids need to learn suffering at their level. They need to learn a little bit of suffering. It's okay to lose. They need to learn it's okay to lose. We experience suffering, we learn from the suffering, we grow from the suffering, and we understand that it's something that's a part of life. It's a normal part of life, and if we don't go through those emotions of losing and winning, what's going to happen is we're going to end up having this generation of very weak people, and they're going to be affected by every single thing that comes their way. They're like just basically put in a bubble, right? And I would say, from my personal opinion, I can't stand how society tries to protect children from even the smallest sufferings. Like, and for me, it doesn't make any sense, right? This is where children learn the most. And I wouldn't even say just children, just humans in general, we learn from our sufferings. We learn from what we suffer, right? It's okay to lose. Let children lose. I'm serious. Let them lose. Let them feel what loss is so that they can make themselves better so that they can win the next time. Let them lose, right? Let them feel the anguish of not winning. Let them feel the anguish and the drive and desire to want to win also. I think that's something that's really important for us to have that drive, right? The wanting to be better instead of like making everyone feel like, oh, it's okay. You don't have to win. And I would say, no, this is what we learn in life. There's always winners and losers. And if they think that everyone's supposed to win all the time, they're in for a huge shock when they go into the real world. If you don't let them lose, they grow up to be total losers in life. I'm going to tell you that. They're going to be total losers in life. And just, you know, I I think if they think that they should always win, I think that's a major problem. And it brings up a generation of spoiled kids. And that's why I say, think about what Christ teaches us, what God teaches us through the Bible. The point of suffering, when you look at the Bible, how much suffering, there's so much suffering, and sometimes there is injustice. They don't even deserve the suffering, and they're still going through it. Look at the stories. There's Job. Look at Joseph. Look at Jesus. They're all going through massive suffering. And the real point that I see throughout the scriptures is not about whether someone receives suffering or not. The key point is whether you go through blessings or suffering, are you still going to go through it together with God? Are you going to stick with God or not? This is like what I call a true relationship, true loyalty, true discipline, where you're learning how to really stick with God through thick and thin. And I think one of the things that we do need to teach our children is when we come to Christ, when you have faith in God, this faith, like marriage, is through thick and thin. Doesn't matter if you're struggling. You don't leave your husband or wife because you're struggling and you're mad at them for something. And kids got to learn this at an early age. And as people of faith, we got to teach our kids that, hey, yeah, we're struggling. I know we're struggling. I know you just lost, but pray. Take it with God. Be with God. We're learning how to have true faith. And I think that's important for all of us here is learning to believe properly in God. And it requires us to go through the suffering, just like all the major figures in the Bible. And I would say that with our children, as we raise them, we want to make sure that not only do they have faith, but they have that strong faith that through all the suffering and difficulty, no matter what, we still hang on to God, right? And that reminds me of verse. And this is the first verse I want to talk about today is from Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2. And it says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. And this is something we have to recognize is God is going to be there with you through all the difficulties because God has that love. That love is already there. And He says, I'm going to stick with you no matter what because I'm going to show you what true love really is. The real matter is whether you will have that true love towards God that when it gets that difficult, you will stick to God just like God says, yeah, when you pass through the waters, I'm going to still be with you. That rivers, they're not going to sweep you away. The fire is not going to burn you. I'm going to be with you. And the real question is, will you be together with God? And that's why when we go through suffering in life, it's okay. Let Him go through it. We got to go through it. But the key matter is going to be, do you stick to God even in the most difficult times?